If we now move across to the travel seats, and again I now just remove the cushions. You will now see the fresh water tank. So we can gain access to the fresh water tank just here by unscrewing the black cap if we want to clean it out, etc. We also have the water pump just sitting there, and then tucked down just here is a switch, and this switch here is on when the light is illuminated, and it is for the heater located in the waste tank. So if you're using the motorhome in cold climate and there's a danger that the wastewater tank may freeze up, pop this on to avoid any frost damage. Next we have the extractor fan, light on and off here, and then fan on and off just here. We have the hob, so we have the electric hot plate that will work when we're hooked up to main supply. Red light comes on to let you know it's in operation, and then we have the two gas burners. Push in, twist and push the igniter. Beneath that we have both oven and grill. Push in to the left for the oven. And to the right for the grill. Microwave just here, and like the hot plate will work when we're hooked up to main supply. We have the power setting just here, and then time set just here. The Thetford fridge beneath it, on and off just on the black button here. This is an automatic model, so if I now press this button here and we find A for auto, it will then find the best power source it can for us. So because we're currently hooked up to main supply, you'll see it's put us onto main supply. If I now went outside and pulled the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas, and as soon as we start the engine, it will then automatically go over to 12 volt maintain to keep itself cold whilst on the move. You will see after a short time the screen does go off, but you can see it's still on by the little blue light. If I tap it, it will then re-illuminate to let you know what it's up to. We have temperature control just here. We can take it out of auto if we want, so I can manually put it onto mains, manually put it onto 12 volt maintain. It's going to flash at us, and we're going to get a red flashing light at the moment because the engine's currently not running. And I can manually put it onto gas, but auto is the easiest one to have it on. This button here just controls the unit's anti-condensation jacket, so that's anti-condensation jacket off, that's on. You definitely need the condensation jacket on in the warmer months. This stops any build-up of condensation at the back of the unit, which would then run down and form a puddle underneath it. And then we turn it just back off again, exactly the same way as turning it on, just by holding it. We then have the freezer box at the top and the fridge beneath. And as it is a large fridge, if you do have a lot of stuff in it, you can pull across that travel catch just at the bottom there to lock the door into place. Above my head we have the Omnivent fan. To use this, just wind the roof vent up here, and then we have middle button to turn the unit on, and then you'll see that we have arrows out for extraction and arrows in for cooling, and it's variable fan speed just by pressing. Do make sure that all roof vents are down for travel. Washroom. So we have the Thetford toilet just here. The bowl does swivel about. Open to the cassette just by sliding the grey lever just here. And then push to flush just here. Level indicator for the cassette just here. It will go round to red when it needs emptying. Close the cassette back up again. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure nobody's left it open. The light switch is just tucked underneath the vanity unit just there. We then have the basin and the shower cubicle. Do make sure that the shower screen is secured for travel. Wardrobe, and this is also where the table and pole is. That drop into the hole just here. If I now just remove these bench seat cushions and we now lift up, you'll see that we have the location of the Truma boiler just here. Beside the boiler is the drain valve for it. So these drain valves are automatic. So if the temperature inside this motorhome drops below about 3-4 degrees, this valve will open to drop all the water out of the boiler to frost protect it. If you are going to manually drain it, all you need to do is make sure the water pump is turned off. Come to this blue diamond here and twist it. When we twist it, this blue button here will pop out and it will then drop all the water out of the boiler. To close back up again for filling the boiler back up, twist and push back in, fill up the fresh water tank, turn the water pump on, and then it will begin priming the boiler back up again. If it is auto drained, all that will happen is the blue button will pop out and all you need to do is just push it back in to reset it. If you're pushing it back in and it's not staying in, it's just too cold within the motorhome, and you will need to turn the heating on to generate some heat to allow it to reset. We can then see the storage that can also be got to from the hatch on the outside. We have a 12-volt plug and a main socket just there. If I now come across to the other side and remove the cushions, and again I now lift up, we have storage, but we also have the location of the spare wheel just here. And by removing the centre cushions we can also gain access to the storage beneath. If I now come to this window just here, you'll see this little device just here. This is a pressure switch. Because the flue for the Truma Combi boiler sits underneath this window, if you are running it on gas and you open this window, it will automatically cut the boiler out to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning. This model is fitted with 2 electric drop-down beds. So we have one at the rear just here. Just operate it just by pressing. It can either be brought down to a higher height and then a ladder used, or it can also be dropped to the lower position so it's just floating above these cushions. Do make sure that you've removed all the back ones, and also make sure that you've turned the lights underneath it to avoid any scorching of the upholstery. The front bed can only be brought down to a higher position, and again use the ladder. Do make sure that the sink glass has been dropped down. And as soon as it reaches the height, it will then stop. Both beds are fitted with netting that can be clipped up to the ceiling. And if either bed was to malfunction, they can be wound up manually. This is done using the winding tool, and you'll see you just pop the winding tool into there to wind the bed up or down, and on the rear one it's just popped in here.